Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and I'm back with another movie review. This movie is brought to me by BET Plus. It is called Wake. Let's just say this movie was, it was crazy. It was very intense, but definitely worth the watch. Definitely. Like, it's giving you like Halloween vibes without it being Halloween, because that's just how gripping it was to me personally, because everybody has their preference, but let's get into it. So there's this girl named Sharita, and she's a professor at MIT, and her study is physics. So she's doing her class, and she teaches them about how to do reverse energy using a garage remote, and she demonstrates it on a squash or something like that in her class. One of her students ended up walking late, so she asked him a question, and he was like, "I'd rather like go to the PMAC concert." Next thing you know, on his computer, he has like this video called Warning Tour of PMAC, doing all this stuff and whatnot. So he's supposed to be on tour, and backstage, he one of his, I think his right hand man or his assistant, told him he needed to take his medication. Come to find out, he's bipolar, and he has these issues because, like, I guess he had a really bad upbringing, but they don't say that. So his personal assistant was trying to tell him to take his medicine. He was like, "Listen, I don't like how they make me feel. They make me feel like I'm in a coma, but the doctor said you need to take them once a week," and he also sees a therapist. So that's that. So one of his other guys, I think two other guys, they give him like drugs, because I guess that's just what he's in the scene. He's a rapper. So next there's a knock on the door. Come to find out, it's his girlfriend, Shantae, and she basically tells him, like, "Listen, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm sick and tired of your ways." Come to find out, he mentally and physically abuses her. So when she took off her shades, you could see her face was black and blue with so many cuts and bruises along there. She was just like, "Listen, I can't do this anymore. And also, I'm pregnant." And he flipped out on. He was like, "Nah, nah, nah, nah. Go ahead, you could do it. Just get out, get out, get out." Then as she's about to leave, she ended up giving him his keys back too, to his place. And he was like, "What about the house first?" She was like, "Listen, I can't do this. I cannot allow to bring our child into this world knowing that his father is very dysfunctional and he don't know how to get help with his disorder." Once she said that, her back was already toward the door. He come up to where she was at, punched her in the face. Then she was like, "Listen, okay, hold on. I'm not going to do that. Can I get a glass of water?" So from the drugs he just got, he poured into her cup of water. That drink instantly dissolved. She drunk it dumb fast. So by the time she left, she walks out the club. She starts being a little lethargic and stumbling, but she managed to make it downstairs. Once she got to her car, she was a little disoriented, but she opened the car door. She checked her phone. Next she fell out on the ground convulsing. Next she was dead. Because before he gave her the drink, the girl that he got the drugs from, told her like, "Listen, you gotta be careful. Too much of it will make you like a wild horse, and you won't remember anything." He was like, "Oh, I'm not a wild horse, whatever." So he ended up giving her some of the drugs, and that was that. So now her death was ruled a homicide, but they couldn't find out who did it. And the next day, they interviewed him, and he was like, "Listen, I'm so sorry for her death. I heard that she was pregnant with our child and stuff like that." But they didn't really devolve too much into it. Next thing you know, Sarita, she's at home looking through her mail and whatever. She's a narcoleptic, severe narcolepsy. She has severe narcolepsy, so she falls asleep without no command, no warning. So she has a guard dog, support dog, cameras everywhere, inside and outside of her house. So eventually, Preston, PMAC, he ends up moving next door. and she was trying to figure out who it was, but at this time she didn't know. But also her friend Brent, who lives across the street, she was like, listen, maybe somebody with money, because Brenda's able to live across the street because her ex-husband cheated on her, so he basically pays all this alimony. So she got a nice house, and of course, Sharita, she is a professor at a college, so she got money. So anybody that lives in that neighborhood got to have some type of money, wealth. So just so happens, Preston Miles, aka P Mac, lives right next door to Sharita and across the street from Brent. So they're trying to figure out who it is, and then eventually Sarita used her powers from medical knowledge to break in to see who moved in. Because I found out it was him, put two and two together. So after he moved in, Brand went to go make him some brownies. He said he liked that about her, and he also liked the other things about her. So she was like, okay, cool, I'll meet you sometime, whatever. So next you know, as he's already moved in, he wanted to know who lived next door with the cameras. She comes up to run to his car. He was like, don't ever come up to me like that. So she basically told him how she was and what she had and stuff like that, and the reason behind the cameras. He was like, well, other than that, just, be mindful. I like my privacy. So after that, it rubbed the wrong way. She could tell that he was an a-hole, and it clearly showed, like, okay, whatever. So as the days go on, I think later on that night, he had a party, and she was watching from her house. For some reason, she got a good camera that you can use your cable remote, your Verizon remotes, that you can look through everything, see what's going on through your house. So eventually that night, she notices like something eerie, creepy about her. So she started using her camera to like spy on him to see what's really going on. Come to find out, he ended up killing the girl that was at her house, his house rather, from the party. And she went over the yard to check it out, but she ended up breaking her Apple Watch. And it's crazy. Once you break them Apple Watches, this is gone. And trust me, I broke mine, and it wasn't even that far fall from off my hand to the ground. It was a wrap. And them joints are expensive, so I felt her pain when it cracked. She was like, oh, man. And plus, it lets her know when her heartbeat is getting a little too elevated, so she got to lie down because of her narcolepsy. So at the whole time, while she was outside in the yard, her dog Buster was barking, and that attracted him to go look out his window. He ended up coming outside with his gun, and she just so happened to hide right where he was standing, but on the bottom of the steps. And eventually the dog stopped barking, and he went back into the house. And then she tried to go back over to her house, and she ended up falling into the trash bags of blood and stuff like that. So she ended up blacking out. Come to find out, she ended up sleeping on the lawn, his lawn out there at that. So he meant to tell me he never went out his house the whole entire time she fell asleep. So she ended up making it back over to her house. Next, she just got in the shower, whatever. Next, the door, knock on the door. It happens to be Preston, and he's talking about the cameras, and she was like, no, I switched my cameras over to my house last night and just my driveway. And he was like, so with the help of your cameras, maybe I can look to see who was trespassing to my house. She already know in her heart that it was her. And he had a feeling that it was her too, because like, who else would it be? Like, yeah, whatever. So he tried to play it up. Next, you see some fist pounding on the door. It had just happened to be Eddie. He ended up leaving his key there, so she opened the door, let him in, and she starts telling him about the whole situation. They just think she's crazy and stuff like that. Bryn, she's not trying to hear anything she got to say because she's so, I guess, back trying to get with Ted, her ex-husband. And Serena was like, listen, that's not a good look for you. But eventually, they got into a little fallout because Bryn ended up going on a date with Preston because she picked up on it real quick. And she's like, listen, you can just tell that Bryn was not trying to hear anything that Sarita had to say. So she had to find out her own. And Bryn is a nurse, by the way. Bryn goes all on a date with Preston. And they start going to the Juicy Peach where Eddie goes and stuff like that. And they're having a good time. So next thing you know, they end up going to the car. He wants her to do some things to her. And she was just like, he started calling her all types of B's. And then she was like, hold on, I'm not a hoe, I'm not a B. And all that stuff. He was like, listen, you're going to be whatever the heck I am. After he pimp slapped in her face. She was like, okay, I'll do everything. Next thing you know, she gets up on top of him. I guess pulls the pants down. And then she punches him hard in his penis. And then she gets out the car. He was like, listen, oh, you're dead to me. I'm going to kill you. And she could see that the look on her eyes. So she was scared. She ended up going back to Sharita's house and telling her everything that happened. And Sarita was like, call the police. She should have called the police, but then at the same time, you know they're not going to do nothing. That's just how they was. So she just let it go. She ended up eventually going to go see Ted again to talk about their relationship and whatnot. Oh. So um, after that whole incident or whatever, she goes to go see Ted again. And she leaves. Next you know, she sees Preston's car leave right behind. She was like, oh, she's going to go see Ted. And then in that sentence, she was like, oh, he's going to go follow her. I'm surprised she never just texted her like, listen, Preston is following you. So that way she would have got like a better heads up. But she didn't. She just kept calling and texting her. And Brenda wasn't trying to hear anything she had to say. So next thing you know, Ted is dead. And Brent goes back to work. And Sarita calls her the next day to check on her. Listen, I got all your messages and whatnot. She was like, so, my bad. I thought I heard something. So, eventually, long story short, Preston was behind all the murders. He ended up shooting Eddie because Eddie was supposed to go over there to help get Bren. He finally called Bren. He beat her up. Sarita was able to like overcome her hallucinations to like save her friend and her cousin with the help of her dog Buster. She ended up fixing her watch on her own. And then, you know, she was labeled a hero. And it's sad because this guy really was going through a lot. His parents was abusive towards him. And he grew up to be that way. Bipolar, with all these anger issues and stuff like that. Killing without no remorse, no regret. Like, he loved, but he also didn't like women at all. So, you definitely gotta be careful who you let into your company, into your space, because they could be the next person out to kill you. Because it always says that person that envies you is the one that's right up underneath your nose. So you gotta be careful who you let come into your circle and into your space. So, even though Sarita had all this narcolepsy stuff going on with her, she was still able to face her fears and, you know, kill Preston because he about to kill her too. Like, good thing for being a professor and knowing her physics and science and stuff, how to work around things. So, Eddie was okay. Brim was okay. Sarita was okay. She just got a couple of bangs and bruises. And that was it. That movie was definitely crazy, but interesting at the same time. It was good. I would definitely watch it again because, trust me, I love a good movie. And that right there was a good one. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Y'all can check it out on BET Plus. And if you don't have BET Plus, hopefully somebody uploads it to YouTube and you can see it for free. Okay? So, with that being said, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!